Hello, Bermuda. Hello, Hamilton Church. Hello, online listeners and watchers. We just want to welcome you into our space this morning. We are excited. We are excited because we have with us this morning representatives from the group Dementia Bermuda. It's going to be our privilege to speak with two members of that team in the person of Erica Fulton and Marie Fay. So welcome to our discussion. We pray that you will be blessed with the information that we share. We know that dementia touches every family on this island, yea, every family on this globe. And so we pray that you will be informed and be better positioned to face the challenges that dementia may present in your family, in your life. At this time, I just want to introduce to us and allow her to speak to you our Executive Director of Dementia Bermuda. Her name is Erica Fulton. Erica, please introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here to speak with your audience. As you said, I'm Erica Fulton, and I'm the Executive Director at Dementia Bermuda. So I've been with the organization for about a year, and we've gone through really exciting changes that have set us on a trajectory for growth and development and how we can broaden our impact and really helping the community. As you touched on, this is something that affects everybody in our community, and we're going to be talking a lot about that today, but we estimate there are about 3,000 people living with a form of dementia on our small island, and this number is predicted to double by 2030. So that's within the next 5 years, we are looking at this number doubling and tripling by 2050. We have an aging population. This is something that is not going away. And so it is so important that we have opportunities like this to come and speak with as many people about dementia. So thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Now, I visited your website and I noted that the mission of Dementia Bermuda is we are dedicated to improving the quality of life of persons affected by dementia through support services, education, and advocacy. And so my first question really draws from that mission. Would you define for our listeners so that we're all sharing that same understanding, what is dementia? And can you also describe some of the early signs that families and caregivers should be aware of?
Yes, no, great question to start with. I think it's one of the most important because there can be some confusion around the term dementia, around the term Alzheimer's. And actually, we recently rebranded. So our former name, we've been around since 2012. So we're a well-established charity, and we've been a smaller one. And we were known as Action on Alzheimer's and Dementia. So those two terms in there, and those are often what we find are used interchangeably and add to confusion. Well, what is one? What is the other? So I'm really glad that's how we're going to start today. So we like to think of dementia as the umbrella term. So, and all the different types of dementias fall underneath it. So dementia is the symptoms that affect our memory, thinking, behavior, emotions. So they're the things that we see that are altering in the person. And there are different types of dementias, different types of neurological diseases that cause that dementia. So Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. About 80%, they estimate, of dementia cases are Alzheimer's disease. So if somebody receives a dementia diagnosis, you might want to say, what type of dementia do I have? It's a bit like cancer. You have different types of cancer. So dementia is that overall umbrella term. And then we have the different types of dementias, with Alzheimer's being the most common disease that causes these changes to our memory, thinking, behavior, and emotions. And we always, I think with dementia, first and foremost, people think memory loss, we forget things. And so I'm glad, again, that you've asked about signs and symptoms, because I can talk about that a little bit as well. There are actually 10 known warning signs of dementia, with memory loss, of course, being one of them, but not the only. So I think this is often where we get people feeling concerned, perhaps, and there is a big difference between age-related forgetfulness and disease-related changes happening to our brain caused by those neurological changes. So age-related forgetfulness, I might walk into a room and say, why on earth am I here? What did I come in here? And I think you can be any age when this happens.
That's right.
I might be talking to my neighbor and I think, what is their name? I've known this person for 30 years and I cannot think of their name. What's their name? These are things that happen to all of us frequently.
Yes.
The biggest difference of what we are looking at are things that impact our ability to live independently and manage our daily affairs. So these other warning signs that we might be looking for are difficulty performing familiar tasks. Perhaps problems with language and speech, forming sentences, not unable to remember words. Problems keeping track of things, so bill payments. It's not that you just forgot that one telephone bill, but it's on a monthly basis. These things are accumulating. Because one of the important things with dementia is that it is a progressive condition. So it is a disease of the brain and it is progressive, which means that over time it will worsen. So when you're thinking about these things, when you're thinking about perhaps your own brain health or of your loved one where you may be feeling concerned, these are important things to look out for. Is there or my ability to manage my daily affairs being affected to such a degree that I feel like I need help from somebody else? So these are really important things that I think one of the biggest opportunities that we have as a community is to really start talking about dementia, recognizing what it is, saying it's not just something that's inevitable. This is not just something that happens to people because we've gotten older. There is an actual disease process that is occurring there. And so we need to recognize it for what it is. We need to all ourselves be thinking about our own brain health, and we'll talk more about that as we go through what are things that I can do to improve my own brain health. And then how can I help my loved ones, my neighbors who I might see who are struggling? Because I'm thinking about my own brain health and I'm thinking about recognizing perhaps differences and changes that might be happening in my loved ones or people around me, and that I can help them. This doesn't mean you're going in and barging in and saying, I think you have dementia. But lovingly, how we as a community can think about dementia and change how we talk about it, taking away that stigma and that shame that is really deeply rooted. You know, I think one of the biggest challenges we have in connecting or helping people is that deep-rooted sense of shame that can be associated with it, and also a sense of privacy that is absolutely, you know, our own health is something that is private. But there are things that we can do to enable the person themselves living with the condition and that those caring for them to have better outcomes for everybody. Excellent.
That certainly was a fulsome response. As you were speaking, I just thought of one follow-up. You're not the clinician.
Correct.
We're going to speak with one very shortly. Her name is Marie, and we're happy to have her. But I just thought as you were speaking about this matter of, is this dementia and the various forms of it, is it something that's preventable? Is there causation? And are there things that individuals and their families can do to delay onset of someone afflicted or mitigate its progression?
Yeah, that's such a great and key question, because research shows that up to 45% of dementia cases can be delayed or even prevented. So in the absence of a cure yet, we do not yet have a cure, and we'll be talking more about kind of treatments that are on the horizon. In the absence of a cure, what are things that we can do? And research shows us there are actually 14 modifiable risk factors. So I I think we've been raised to think about our physical health. We kind of have this sense from a very young age that staying physically active is important. We want to keep our heart healthy. We kind of know that managing our weight is important. All of these things that are instilled in us. And yet we never think about our brain in that same way. What do I do to keep my brain specifically healthy? And a lot of things actually of what keep our heart healthy do keep our brain healthy. So we're doing those right things if we're staying physically active, if we're eating the right foods, we're managing our weight, keeping our cholesterol down. These are all critical things that help reduce our risk. But staying socially active, this is hugely important.
Stimulation.
It is stimulation, being part of community, being part of something where we're sharing and caring for each other, being meaningfully engaged with something. So these are all really important things that we can do, and actually from any age. So in your 20s and your 30s, thinking about how do I protect my brain? What are the things that I can do that keep it healthy? And I think just quickly, we could talk about this for decades. But I think when people think about their brain health, they often say, "Well, I do Sudoku every day, or I do puzzles every day," and that's great. But doing the same thing every day actually is not challenging your brain. So it just means you're good at doing Sudoku or you're good at doing puzzles. What we want people to think about is, how can I challenge my brain differently? So there's so many different ways that you can do this. Learning a language, but that might not be for you. Picking up a musical instrument. One of the things that I heard really, which I thought was a simple way of doing it is, I'm right-handed, so doing everything with my left hand. So opening the fridge door, opening doors, doing things that just get my brain, my neurons firing in a different way, but doing that in different patterns. So when we're thinking about our brain health, this is critical, because in the absence of a cure, what are things that we can do? If these numbers are predicted to double and then triple, we need to do something globally. This is not just unique to Bermuda. And thinking about our brain health is really important.
Well, again, very, very fulsome answer. And I'm sure our audience will certainly have an enhanced understanding of that very, very critical portion. We probably have time for one more question. And so I'm going to choose the one that relates to public awareness, because you've just touched on it. How does your organization work to combat that stigma, first of all? And I think you've touched that, so maybe not so much on that point, but what strategies have proven sort of most effective to raising public awareness? So I think having opportunities like this, coming in and speaking with as many groups as we can about dementia, normalizing the conversation. So when we go to see our doctor annually, how am I doing cognitively? How is my brain doing? Just like we would want to know how our heart is doing or how our physical health. So I think really trying to get that across to everybody, no matter what age you are, that we sort of really want people to start monitoring that and thinking about that. All of the work that we do is underpinned by two overarching goals. The first being that the person living with the condition themselves deserves and to receive the right supports in place to help them live as full and as an independent life as possible for as long as possible. And we as a community need to make sure we put those in place. And we know as advocates in this space that there are critical gaps that are there. So thinking about the person living with the condition, but then also those helping to care for that person. And Marie will talk about this more, but we say for every one person, there are 7 people living with the disease, that there are 7 who are closely affected. And so caring for and helping the caregiver is just as critical in that. So those are the kind of two overarching goals that drive all of the work that we do, whether it's advocacy or our programs that we provide as well. So breaking down that, how we talk about dementia, just bring it into everyday conversation, because like you said at the very beginning, this affects everybody. And yet it's not something that we speak in a way. Often it's in hushed tones, or it's privately, or these are struggles that I'm facing.
and there's not been that openness, and we really want to change that so that people feel like they're not alone.
Yes.
Because we know that the best outcomes come with the earliest support as possible.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, in the time that remains, we know that today, you guys actually have some public awareness work that you're doing. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so, we're really fortunate. I think Bermuda is a really small community, and so there are a lot of health fairs that are often on. So, we try, as soon as there's a health fair, we get ourselves there, because it's in as much interaction as we can have with people, talking about the work that we do and the work that we want to do.
Yes.
We have, as I said, been through tremendous growth this past year because we know that we're not adequately meeting the needs of people today. And we want to do that better, and we know that these numbers are only growing. So, we have an enormous agenda of what we want to achieve in terms of how we want to be perceived in the community. If somebody receives a dementia diagnosis, we want them to know, to be able to call us, and that from that first moment where they feel concern right through their journey, that we can be there at every stage of the journey.
We certainly want to thank you for the time that you've spent with us today. I'm sure that our audience has been richly informed as to some of the points that we could have discussed. I know that there are others, and I think this just portends another opportunity at some later date for you guys to come back and join us and continue to inform the community. And I think there will be a reciprocal benefit in doing that, not just for us in getting information, but a vehicle for Dementia Bermuda and other charities related in this space, that operate in this space, to get the word out. Because as we have been informed, the disease is projected to grow, and it sounds like almost exponentially. And so we want to thank you for the time that you spent with us today. We want to wish you well in your endeavor today and your endeavors beyond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marie Fay is a licensed occupational therapist with over 20 years of clinical experience in the field of dementia. Marie is the owner of North Star Dementia and is currently serving as a clinical director at Dementia Bermuda, a local charity whose goal is to offer comprehensive support for persons living with dementia as well as their caregivers. Marie, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about what your role as clinical director entails and why you are so passionate about dementia care in Bermuda?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us to come in and talk today about a topic that I'm obviously very passionate about. So in terms of the clinical director role for Dementia Bermuda, this is a new role for this organization. I just came on a few months ago. In a part-time capacity. And as Erica, the executive director, has referenced, we are in a big period of growth for the organization. And so we are looking forward to what we can do to sort of evolve, to collaborate in terms of other organizations that are out there, to try and move towards providing a more comprehensive, coordinated support services for people who are living with dementia in our community and the caregivers that support them as well.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that individuals with dementia in Bermuda face in accessing care and support? And what are some of the specific programs, if you can, or resources that Dementia Bermuda provides, not only to those individuals, but also to their caregivers?
Yeah, sure. I mean, sadly, we do see a lot of individuals who are currently struggling to navigate a diagnosis of dementia in our community. Erica has referenced the issue of stigma for people. So we are still, as a community, not overly comfortable with talking about our brain health, certainly talking about any changes that we might be experiencing. So as a result, I think when we actually get in contact with people, so as community-based clinicians, oftentimes people are quite far progressed in terms of the condition. So ideally, we would want there to be a system where people are screened annually for brain health, that they feel comfortable approaching their family doctor if they're noticing changes, or talking about it openly with family members. But generally, we find that we're not quite there yet. So by the time we get the calls, people are definitely in crisis right at that point. So in terms of services that Dementia Bermuda offers, our primary service is the daily activities programming that is run through Peace Lutheran Church in Paget. That's where the program is based. And so Monday through Friday, there are activities that are offered, activities that are specifically known to be beneficial for brain health and cognitive stimulation. And obviously, because it's a group-based program as well, you're getting that key social interaction piece, right? We're getting people out of the house. We're getting them around other people. We're engaging them in activities like music therapy, movement-based programming, all kinds of things. So there's generally at least a couple of hours of activities that are offered every day, Monday through Friday, and those programs are offered for free. It's not a drop-off program. The person has to, or the participant has to have a family member or caregiver that participates or attends with them to provide necessary support. But that's one of the key services. The other thing we're excited to share is that we've just recently launched a caregiver education and support program. So this is a monthly meeting that happens on the third Tuesday of every month and incorporates 1 hour of education. So we talk about a topic pertinent to dementia caregiving. And then the second hour is that caregiver support piece, which we know is so critical for people, not just as us as professionals providing information, but hearing from other people who are also living the experience and sharing what they've learned as they've navigated this journey.
Okay. Is there a cost attached to any of these activities, or?
No. So currently, the activities that are, or the support services that are offered through Dementia Bermuda are offered for free. So definitely, if you think this is a program that you could benefit from, or if you want to learn more about it, then definitely I'd encourage you to reach out.
Participate. Based on the data that we have, there are around 3,000 persons living with dementia in Bermuda, and 80% of their care is being undertaken by unpaid family members. So along with that financial cost, right, there's also a concern. There's a certain level of mental fatigue that comes along with being a caregiver.
Absolutely.
Or a family member who's offering support. How does Dementia Bermuda provide support for caregivers when they encounter those challenges?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. That is such a key thing. As we know, this is a far-reaching condition. It doesn't just impact the person with the diagnosis.
Yes.
It impacts their closest family members. It impacts neighbors, who are watching out for them. It impacts community organizations. We are hearing from even financial institutions and that kind of thing, right? Who are having people come in and who are struggling to manage their finances and their bill payments, have forgotten their cards and that sort of thing. So it really is touching every segment of our community at the moment. We know that we can't effectively care and treat individuals with dementia without also supporting their key caregivers, right?
Yeah.
And as you've said, unfortunately, because of the gaps in our system currently, the burden of care is falling to family members, and we are really asking people to do the impossible. We are asking them to provide 24-hour support in a lot of cases with limited financial resources and support. We know that we don't have sufficient professional caregiving services. We don't have dementia-specific facilities in Bermuda that help with day programming and also long-term care services. So it really is a huge gap. In terms of what we can do to support families, I've mentioned the Caregiver Education and Support Program. So this is a new initiative and one that I think is really exciting because there's obviously a huge need for that. So we definitely invite people to come out to those monthly meetings to learn more about dementia and also to share their experiences and offer support to others who are perhaps earlier on in their dementia journey, because we learn so much from each other. But we also are able to offer some in-home supports. We are, as an organization, we are looking at trying to move towards reinstating in-home care services, which is something, which is my other role in the community, is providing in-home, that one-on-one support. And dementia is a very individualized condition. So, I mean, we can provide generic information, but in terms for us to really help problem solve around those caregiving challenges, we need to go in and see people within their home environments. We need to figure out what's triggering any difficulties or behaviors. And so being able to get into the home and offer that individualized one-on-one caregiving support is really key as well.
The organization does great work. However, no man is an island. How does Dementia Bermuda engage with healthcare providers and the medical community to improve care in Bermuda?
Yeah. So, as you've said, dementia is not a one-person job, right? It requires a team. In lots of other jurisdictions, there are community-based multidisciplinary teams specifically for dementia, and that is our end goal. That is where we would love to get to. Right now, I find we do network with other healthcare providers. We obviously have to be in close contact with family physicians, with the geriatricians at the Mood and Memory Clinic at the hospital. There's BEAMS, which is run by Dr. Cousin Simpson. We tap into every available resource we can, social workers, community-based therapists, to try and get our clients and family members the support they need. But it is very disjointed right now. There's no integrated care pathway. There's no sort of streamlined process for people to move through. When you think of cancer care, for example, if you receive a diagnosis of cancer, you're then automatically referred to a specialist. You're then presented with your treatment options, and there's organizations there to help support you. And we really would love for dementia to get to that same place.
Piggybacking on that, how can the community as a whole get involved and assist the organization with your initiatives?
Yeah, so dementia is a community issue, and we need to work towards becoming a dementia-friendly, dementia-inclusive island. I think we are at an advantage, to be honest with you, as in comparison to other larger jurisdictions, right? We have that grassroots support already in place. We have bus drivers that look out for people who know that they have issues with their memory and who might be seeking, who might ride on the bus every day as a sort of social engagement and connection. But if they try to get off at the wrong stop, they're going to know, right? And they're going to be able to redirect them. We have neighborhoods, who are aware that Mrs. Smith needs some support. And if they see her out and sort of wandering towards the main road, that somebody needs to be alerted. And I think, we are really at a place of strength with that sort of grassroots support in Bermuda. And I think that that's something that we can really continue to build on. The other thing is self-advocacy. And we need to get to a point where we can talk more comfortably about dementia. There's only so much we can do as professionals to advocate on behalf of people. We really need people to share their stories, to talk to their local MPs about the struggles that they're having, to go to their family physicians and ask for screening, because we are not where we need to be in terms of supporting people. So we need people to be able to advocate for themselves as well. Yeah.
Success stories.
Oh, yeah.
We love them. Can you share with us an instance that highlighted to you the impact of Dementia Bermuda's advocacy, whether it was a specific client or just a moment of community awareness, that aha moment?
I think... I don't want to downplay the challenges that come with living with dementia. It is challenging, just like any other chronic disease, right? And certainly if you're caring for somebody as well. But we do have a lot of clients and caregivers who continue to live well with a diagnosis of dementia, who maintain a very good quality of life, who maintain that positive mindset, who focus on the strengths that remain instead of sort of focusing on the losses over time. And I'm thinking of not without sharing any personal information, I'm thinking about a couple that live together, and it's actually a friend who's supporting a friend living with dementia. And I think it's just their positive attitude, right? They're tackling it head on. This lady was able to recognize the signs and symptoms herself because she had cared for her own mother who had dementia. And so she was proactive in terms of getting that support early. She approached her family doctor, said, I think I'm noticing changes, sure enough, and ended up with a diagnosis of dementia. But they've been very proactive with it. They've sought out the information, they've educated themselves. They are well tapped into the resources offered through Dementia Bermuda and other organizations. And they are actively seeking the support that they need. And as a result, they are doing very well. And we just want to emphasize that you can live well with a diagnosis of dementia. It just requires that comprehensive understanding and us making sure that we are getting the right supports in place at the right time for people.
Definitely. Exciting things are happening at Dementia Bermuda. I was going to initially ask you about that one project or program right now that is the beacon for you, that you're very excited about.
Yes.
Just from our conversation, I think I know what it is, but I'll give you a chance to...
Ooh, okay. So I've got a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first one I really want to highlight is, Erica has said that this has been a huge period of growth for the organization. This year, we have managed to engage some key stakeholders through the Ministry of Youth, Social Development and Seniors, and also the Ministry of Health with the Bermuda Health Council. And we are embarking on a health needs assessment, which is collecting data specifically surrounding dementia care in Bermuda so that we can better understand the current impact, the numbers, what services are needed, what services are available. So this is the first time that there's been acknowledgement that dementia is a need in our community. And so I cannot stress enough how important that initiative is. And the hope is that that will feed into development of this integrated care pathway. So people will have that streamlined process from prevention, diagnosis, all the way through to end-of-life care. So that's really key. The other one I want to mention is in terms of the evolution of Dementia Bermuda and the fact that we want to move towards offering this comprehensive care and support service, similar to PALS of cancer care. We want to be that community organization. We are in the process of merging Dementia Bermuda with North Star Dementia, which is my community-based care service. And so pending funding, we are hoping that we will be able to significantly increase the impact that we have by moving these services within one sort of nonprofit unified organization.
Yeah. Definitely some exciting things to look forward to in the changing landscape of how we as a community approach this chronic illness and how we support those who are going through this journey. Thank you so much for sitting with us today. If you need or know someone who is impacted by this, or if you'd like to volunteer your time, please reach out to Dementia Bermuda at 707-0600 or dementiabermuda.bm. Thank you.